Hello, dear committee. My name is Nazrin Alieva, and today I will introduce the article which is more shocking: Investigation of Improper and Moral Offensive Communication. The main goal of the study represents analysis how shocking marketing communication is perceived by consumers and how it influences their intention to spread positive and negative word of mouth. Moreover, theoretical analysis revealed that in order for consumers to spread word of mouth, they need to form an attitude towards the communication, and the attitude is influenced by perceived level of shock and non-valuation. And now I will shortly talk about the theoretical points, and to start with shocking advertising itself. Every day, consumers are exposed to the impact of ads as buyers who need to make a decision. Consequently, the person who receives the message reacts to it differently. Their character, behavior, or perception of various factors as a whole depends on it. In practice, not all the communication techniques used by marketers are so innocent. The complex of such negative techniques has received the name of shock in the professional advertising environment, and the use of these appeals has recently turned out to be so active and at the same time often unjustified. Therefore, the goal of shocking advertising is not only to intrigue the audience, but to hit, scare, and sometimes even cause an acute emotional reaction. And according to scientists, there are 7 appeals of shocking advertising which can be used to shock the consumers. And in my research, I will use 2 of them. As you can see on the pictures, first picture is impropriety, and second represents moral offensiveness. Additionally, there are such variables as the level of shock, norm valuation. They affect the effectiveness of shocking advertisements and help the marketers to measure it. Violation of norms refers to the problem associated with public morals and beliefs. Usually, shock of an ordinary person is caused by words and images that come in gross contradictions with his certain cultural taboos. Consumers usually respond to the norm violation by feeling uncomfortable, embarrassed, or even angry. And speaking about the level of shock in advertisements, which contains a large amount of shock or insulting, just leads to the fact that the consumers will be simply disappointed and will treat it with negativity. And as I have mentioned before, shocking advertising could lead to positive and negative consequences depending on the attitude of the consumer. Many consumers form their attitudes towards shocking ad, which causes them emotional guilt and pleasure at the same time. And speaking about word of mouth, every day consumers share information with their family, friends, or just acquaintances about products or hobbies that they find useful. Advertising is also a subject for sharing, as we encounter it every day. Therefore, spread of word of mouth may be negative or positive. It depends on the content what consumers see and their reaction. So here you can see the model used in the research, and the model presented consists of 2 parts. The first part includes the attitudes towards the ad, which is depending on 2 variables, the level of shock and norm valuation. Meanwhile, the second part is representing word of mouth as dependable from the attitudes towards the ad. And in order to be able to see different results regardless of the consumer's perception and their intentions to spread word of mouth, 2 different shocking appeals were used in the research: moral offensiveness and impropriety. And in order to analyze the relationships described in the model, 8 hypotheses were raised. Research was implemented among respondents from Lithuania and Azerbaijan, and in total there were 322 responses collected. The quantitative questionnaire was constructed from questions measured using a 5-point Likert scale and scored on 1, strongly disagree, to 5, strongly agree. To compute results, a SPSS software program was used for further research analysis, and the majority of the respondents were 19 to 24 years old. And to start with, the first hypothesis, Research model predicted that attitudes towards the ad will be impacted by level of shock and non-valuation. Subsequently, attitudes towards the ad has an impact on spreading positive or negative word of mouth. Study employed moral offensiveness and impropriety, shocking advertising appeals in order to compare whether ad content has an impact on the results. And research revealed that level of shock has a significant and positive impact for the attitudes towards the ad in case when ad is using a moral offensiveness appeal, but impropriety does not evoke shocking feelings. Therefore, hypothesis H1A is confirmed and unfortunately H1B is declined. Secondly, the relationship between norm-valuation and attitudes towards the ad was investigated. Analysis results showed high significance and positive impact between two factors, which allows to confirm both hypotheses of H2A and H2B. Results also suggest that respondents perceive moral offensiveness in the ad as more violating norms than impropriety. So, to continue, the relationship between attitudes towards the ad and positive word of mouth was investigated in H3A and H3B. Research revealed that there is a significant and positive impact between the two given factors. Consequently, hypotheses H3A and H3B are confirmed. Additionally, in the cases of both ads, impact is moderately strong or weak, which allows to draw the conclusion that either offensive or inappropriate content does not provoke consumers to spread positive word of mouth. And finally, the relationship between the attitudes towards the ad and negative word of mouth was explained. Research shows that morally offensive ad encouraged respondents to spread negative word of mouth. On the other hand, improper ads does not evoke negative feelings. Therefore, respondents are not experiencing the urge to spread negative word of mouth, and thus hypothesis H4A is confirmed and H4B is declined. And to summarize, 6 from 8 hypotheses were confirmed, which allows to draw further conclusions. For future research, the main limitation of study conducted is that it includes only 2 different advertising appeals, and authors would suggest to include all of the appeals of Dalia Manchada in order to have a full picture of shocking advertisement. Research also confirmed that level of shock and non-valuation has an influence on how consumers form their attitudes towards the ad. Moreover, this research agrees with previous studies, proving that attitudes toward the ad could influence one's intention to spread word of mouth. But on the other hand, this study contradicts with previous findings that advertising containing nudity elements might shock the consumers. Results show that nudity or sexual references have far less impact on considering ad as shocking than in case of ads containing morally wrong or transgressing norms elements. And for the managerial implications, first of all, authors would suggest that marketers should take into consideration that shocking and non-valuating ads have an impact on consumers' intention to spread word of mouth. Therefore, if the marketing campaign objectives in the latter one, then using shocking advertising might be beneficial for overall campaign success. And moreover, it helps to comprehend which shocking appeals encourage positive or negative intentions towards the advertising message. And that's it. Thank you all for your attention, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.